it's being used by prominent pharma and wellness companies across India and outside. So today's discussion is around the ERP, like how would you do the automatic reporting, automatic intelligence, automatic analytics, or automatic data science on your ERP data. And okay, so let's jump ahead. Feel free to ask questions at any point of time. And yeah, if your question is something that you would like the voice to be on, you can raise your hand and I can try to convert you to panelist and allow you to unmute yourself. Yeah, okay. So, yes. All right. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful to have such a great audience in the session. And let me just give me a moment. I'll add my teammates as panelists. Perfect. Okay. So ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning or planners. The software or the people who are involved in planning are called planners. So ERP is a common term, and and basically it includes eh, software system and the process that helps organizations manage and integrate the core business at one place. It brings together processes like HR, finance, supply chain, and everything. And by centralizing data and workflows, it helps you improve the efficiency, collaboration, and accuracy. ERP system also provide real-time insights and support better planning and decision making. So almost every organization beyond a certain size help. If like, beyond a couple of people, right? If you have an organization like that is having some amount of data and workflows, you would definitely benefit from having a ERP tool. And you would be having the ERP tools already. And previously there were, so far there have been ERP tools such as SAP, Oracle Fusion. Then there are open source ones such as Odoo, and there are small company ones like Zoho, and so on. So there are quite a few such companies. Now, and basically, even though so far we have gathered data from processes, products, and supply chain into central place using ERP, using all other workflows. But still, the decision making using existing data has been slow in, you know, slow and has been basically not performing very great. And because there's just lots of data and insights are hard to extract. You have lots of complex data in organization. There are only few people who understand that data, and therefore that one person or two people would be overloaded with all sorts of uh, all sorts of workloads, right? Next is that there's a heavy reliance on the technology teams. The technology team means those who understand SQL, those who understand coding languages. There's a big reliance on them. Then the reporting is fragmented across departments, meaning that this person is doing financial reporting, this person is doing this, because every domain, every department has their own structure of the data, and there are only very few people who have that understanding of the structure, and therefore, the reporting is fragmented. And whenever there's a new report, it will take too long to get it done. There would be, because there are multiple people who are involved in that report. You need to have the understanding of the domain, understanding of their local tribal knowledge, as well as you have to have the understanding of the technology, like you should know SQL, you should know Python or something else. So the custom reports, and further, you might need the knowledge of the reporting tool. So creating a custom report is a big project in itself, and it takes time. And further, in this entire workflow, there is a common theme whereby only selected people should have selected access. And this causes a big friction, because if the developer of report does not have access to the entire picture, it becomes a little difficult to give the reports. And therefore, the person who is preparing the report is going to do it on the dummy data, and then when the actual value comes out on the real data, it doesn't seem like same, right? So understanding the meaning of behind the data is difficult, because the technology people are not domain experts, and domain experts do not have the complete detailed understanding of the technology. So these are the very, common problems with existing reporting method. This is where the Turno comes in. And Turno, in very simple words, is your AI data scientist. It doesn't matter whether you have an understanding of technology or not. You can just connect the data and ask questions. It will do detailed deep dive into your process, into your database, into your entire flow, and then will come up with the results. And it doesn't do it in a single step. It breaks it. Every question you ask, it comes up with lots of hypotheses. Then it tries those hypotheses. It converts each of those hypotheses into steps. And once it has completed all these steps, then it gives you the results. And then in case that fails, it will try another hypothesis and so on. So um, it doesn't only do something like the text search. Okay. Instead, the AI data scientist, what it does is, given your question, it comes up with hypothesis, breaks down into tasks. Some of the tasks could be writing SQL, some of the tasks could be writing Python code, some of the tasks could be training the machine learning model, some of the tasks could be running the Linux query. So whatever technology work that needs to be done, it will do it for you. Okay. And and if some report comes out to be great, you can convert that report into something that you can reuse. So you can have reusable report, so that it doesn't have to prepare that again. You can just run it with different parameters, and that we call it app services. So every tool or every report that AI data scientist invents, you can reuse it, as well as you can let Turno itself use that API, that report. So that's the most important part about Turno. In simple words, Turno is your AI data scientist. The way it works is that you can ask questions in plain query, and it will give you the response in any desired format. You want presentation, you want PDF, you want to present it like beautiful charts. It'll do everything for you. Okay, and the way it does is that it talks to all sorts of data sources, and for talking, basically, you can either just connect it to your data source, or attach any format of the file as an attachment. Okay, so like for example, you have, let's say, PDF, scan data, or images. You can just give it to Turno and say that, can you give me the results? So what it'll do is it'll figure out what's the format of the data, and accordingly, it will load it, and it'll try to load it. If it doesn't have the software to load a particular format, it will install that software in its computer, and then it'll give you the results. And afterwards, we call that virtual machine. So we give the Terno access to virtual machine. It keeps encoding stuff and it gives you the results. So whatever format of the data you have, you can just attach it as file. Like for example, I used it to do the image processing, or I used it to do the video processing. I gave it a video file and told it to split the video file into 5 parts and so on. And it did the wonderful job. Then Then there is something called MCP, Model Context Protocol. So there are quite a few MCPs that are available on internet. Almost every service provider can give you those MCPs, and you can connect all of that to Turn. Okay, so now Turno provides you an enterprise-grade security with something called SQL Shield. And SQL Shield is your read-only access. It is schema-only analysis. And so what it does is, so Turno provides you the SQL Shield. And what Turno does is that it leaves your data in your organization. It doesn't upload the data at its servers. Okay. It basically writes the code such that it can execute that code locally near your data rather than bringing the data somewhere or transferring the data somewhere. And that's the beauty about Turno, that it doesn't really access all the data. It only primarily just uses your schema. Okay. All right. So basically, with the Turno AI in place, you can do the analytics in a simple manner and safer manner. Okay. Like for example, the kind of work that you can get done via Turno is the exploratory data analysis. That given the data, you can do the exploratory data analysis. Similarly, you can build the advanced machine learning model. And you can also do the real-time processing by implementing the app service. And then you can also do the automated report generation. Now, the way it works is that user gives the question, attaches the files, optional files if you have extra files, gives to Turno. Then then Turno interacts with the data using code, SQL, right? The data could be at your MCPs, ERPs, or attachments, and API services and databases. And then you get the results and it gives the answer. Okay, so to get started, you can simply go to Turno. You go to here, Turno, and sign up. Since I've already signed up, I have the organizations, multiple organizations. If you have multiple organizations, you can create as many as you want. And there we have it. So, okay. Now, what you have here is these are your data sources. Here I have already connected Odoo, for example, and I have also connected the global data. And And basically here I have this is something called Chinook data store. This is a standard sample database. These are the global, we downloaded all the global statistics and uploaded in here. And then we have the ERP data example here. Okay. Okay. Now moving on. So like, for example, let's take a look at some of the questions. Say, analyze the leads and won leads by source, campaign, and medium using UTM campaign, CRM, and so on. So this is one simple example where basically what we wanted to do is prepare visual HTML, CSS report showing the data sources. Now, the way what it's going to do is we have also told it to look at the Odoo database. Okay, so this is our Odoo database. Odoo is the ERP, so every ERP has the database. Now it says that first I'll identify the available data sources to locate Odoo CRM database. I'll run list data sources to see which one contains CRM tables we need. So this is the thought that it has come up with. Then it writes the code to fulfill that thought, and then basically observes it. After observing, after observing, okay, here list all tables in Odoo database so that we can identify the relevant tables, right? So we have that. It's we figured out which database is related. Then, right? Then it is trying to figure out the table, column, and other things, and it is going to get that and working on your thing. So it has broken down your question into steps, and it is, we call that thoughts. It has come up all kinds of thought, then it is coming up with a code, then it is running the code and seeing what's the result. Okay, all right. These are your data sources, and we want to do this. So instead of you writing the code or anything, you can ask Turno to get the results. Okay, all right. Okay. Yes. Hi, Abhigan. So the meeting is about how would you do data science on your ERP data using AI tools such as Turno AI. Okay. Now, a question, very good question from RK is that how could we test the efficiency of code written by Turno, right? That's a very good question. Okay. So you can basically take a look at the right the code it is writing. So the code is usually pretty neat and right now it's just observing the schema of the table and then just trying to understand what's going on. Okay. Then it comes up with the code. So you can take a look at the query. Okay. You can take a look at the query. Also, in case you have, right, we can provide you the tools with which you can basically just observe the analytics of the code. Okay, that's a very good question. But we can provide you the debug mode with which you can observe the performance. A question from Abhigyan is this for customer or B2B? It is both. So we are launching something called Turno Desktop. Soon enough, people will be able to download Turno and use on their own computer, right? And for the so it can be used by direct consumers as well as the companies who want to set up on their own servers. So it is all the three formats. Number one, you can just use it as a service, come here and just connect your data source, and that's it, right? So that's the first simplest way is just come to Turno.ai, create your organization, connect your data source, and get started. That's a good option for anybody who is, um, you know, who just want to get started immediately. Now, on the other hand, on the other hand, the people who want to basically not connect the data source to our server, they can just download the Turno desktop. We'll be launching in a week or so. And and on the server side, you can install, we can provide you with something called Amazon Machine Image. You can use that AMI on your servers and install it there. Okay. A very good question, Abhigyan. There is one question from RK. For customers, how much it costs per month or annually. So it all depends on the license that you are taking, but our general cost is around $39 per person per month. Okay. A question from P. Bhattacharjee is that as someone new to data science, how to utilize Turno for accelerated learning? Apart from generating codes, does it also explain the concepts used to investigate the data? Of course, you can just ask it. You just ask it that can you dig deeper? So it will just dig deeper and give you the explanations. Okay. So does it directly link to SAP and such? Yes, of course. It directly links to the SAP and any API or any of the MCPs it directly links to. From my understanding, most orgs don't allow to connect to their SAP ERP. Yes, that's right. That's right. So in those cases, what people do is they export the data in CSV and they attach the data using the attachment file attachment. Okay. So that's another way. A question from Priyanka is that all Turno AI will do means what was the work of all employees? Yeah. So most of the way it works is that earlier people were writing the code. Now they ask the Turno to write the code, and you come on the driver's seat where you examine whether it gave the results well or not. Okay, so that's basically if most of the data scientists what they do is they get all the data engineering work done using Turno, and then they come up with different models, different ideas of the model, and ask Turno to build those models. And then once they get the results from different aspect, they compare it and then they deploy those models. So that's the thing that now in this new era whereby AI is here. So, so every engineer or every employee or every data analyst or data scientist, they will have to essentially utilize the AI to get the work done quickly. Like for example, you want to quickly take a look at how many let's say you yourself have to build some reports and you want to figure out what's going on, so you can just ask it and get it done very quickly. Okay. Now, question from RK is that can this tool perform planning and budgeting for a company? Of course. Okay. So planning and budgeting of a company can be done using Turno AI. You might have to give a little bit more details that what kind of format do you want and so on. You connect all the data source and then ask to perform the planning and budgeting based on that data. Okay. A question from Prithvi is, okay, a question from Vidya Lakshmi is that I like to understand who would typically use Turno AI and for what purpose? Would it be data analyst, data scientist, or data engineer, or an engineer who doesn't have data science knowledge but requires data processing and analysis? So as of now, Vidya Lakshmi, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. As of now, all the personas that you have listed, they are the users. The business analyst, data engineer, data scientist, product managers, they all are the users of Turn. Okay. So the way it works is that when people ask questions, it comes up with the knowledge and it's a central data. And basically the data engineers can prepare lots of tools within Turno that everybody else can use and so on. Okay. So essentially it's the road to accelerated data science in your organization. Okay. A question from Sashwat, is there any Turno tool with pre-trained models available to use? Yeah, of course. This is Yeah. A question from Shashwat is there any Turno tool with pre-trained models available to use in Android application directly without server involvement? No. It has to be run on the server. So though you can use it from the phone. Okay. A question from Arvaz is that how Turno is different from other AI tools. Okay. Yeah. how Turno is different from other AI tools. So the one very, very big difference between Turno and every other AI tools is that you can install Turno in your organization. It doesn't upload your data to any LLM company. Instead, it does the analysis locally. That's a big difference between Turno and every other. Next is a very big unique feature of Turno is that it provides the automatic understanding of your database. You connect it to your database, it infers and learns from your data directly without you having to keep on telling it the details. That's another. Third is it provides a very good security on your data. We created SQL Shield so that multiple users can access the data without you know like people from finance can only access the data of finance, as well as within the same table you can have multiple access control. Like for example, some of the people can only access some rows, some other people can access other rows, similarly on the column. So this is a unique way of security. Nobody has done this before, the security on row level and column level. And as well as you can have multiple layers of security and without touching your database. Databases are sensitive. People do not let you touch the database, even if you want to create a new security permission. Instead, what people do is they provide one single login, and in Turno, you can create multiple roles and permissions on top of your database security. Question, very good question from Anum. Can we see others' work for reference in Turno? Of course. They can just click on share and it will be shared with the team. Okay. And yeah, all right. A question from RK is that can you mention latest successful implementation of Turner AI and how it transformed their operations? So we did this implementation for one of the very large pharma and wellness companies. And what they did was the way they are using it is for sales. First, they started using it for sales, like how is their retailers performing, which retailer is performing how well. So that was first one because they sell products that these retailers sell. Similarly, observing the performance of agents. Next, they have been using it for their sales forecasting. So based on the past data, Turno basically past data, we first asked Turno to gather the weather data. Once it got the weather data, then we combined that with when we got the weather data, then we combined it with the actual data, and and then we prepared the model, and afterwards we got the results. Okay, so basically, it uh, it 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 is being used for the sales forecasting. Next thing that they're using it for is the marketing. Like how will their product sell in future, and what is the current trend? What product should they build? Should they go for milk-based product or should they go for more chocolate-based products? Things like that. So that analysis, that what if analysis can be done easily with Turno. And all sorts of similar machine learning or prediction or unsupervised learning can be done using Turno easily because it has the understanding of your data and it has the understanding of your local tribal knowledge. We call it tribal knowledge, the local knowledge, or you can say local expertise. It has that, and therefore you can ask it to do all sorts of things. It can do or any you have, let's say, data of your machines, and you want to create automatic schedule. You can just ask it to do that. You have, let's say, you want to figure out resource allocation. You want to figure out performance of various employees in your HR system. You can just connect it and say that this is my HR system. Can you give me the reports on the performance? So it'll basically go through whatever it has and it'll give you the answer. Uh, a question from Enam is that is it like a vibe coding tool? So it does the coding automatically. In that sense, it's a vibe coding, but you don't have to worry about the code. You need to worry about the result. You ask it the question, it'll code it or it'll do whatever needed and will give you the results. Okay. It's basically an agent system which does everything for you. A question from Bhattacharji is that does Turno help with building robust API as well? Does it also assist in deployment? So you can convert some, you can come up with something called app services, which can be used as a via API via as a service. So it's not really for the software development, it is more for the data science. But you can deploy your models using the app services. Okay. A question from RK is, does it made any improvement in sales or reduction cost? Of course. The big thing is that they were using the traditional BI system. It used to take long time to get any reports done. Now they get the reports done instantaneously. Okay, so that has made lots of the sales analytics to be very efficient. Now, rather than taking the calls based on the instinct, people just look at the data and then take the call. Like, for example, selling this product is useful or not, right? Or giving this much discount makes sense or not. They can just ask the system that, can you give the analysis that how much discount is good based on the past data? So it'll basically come up with that. Okay. So that's the kind of thing that they are doing, and they're pretty happy with it. Now, question from Bhattacharya is, does it provide a documented output of data investigation and analysis? Of course, if you can take a look at it here, you can take a look at here. So it is going through all the thoughts. It is observing the result, and then giving the further ideas. And there is some error that it is saying. Okay. And then it has given the final result after correcting the code. So it does the code. In case that goes wrong, it fixes it and comes up with better results. So you can see here. So it has come up with the question that we asked was that analyze leads and won deals by source, campaign, and medium using UTM campaign, CRM leads, and calculate the ROI per source based on the total revenue. Okay, so this is what we got: the source, campaign, the medium, total leads, won deals, revenue per leads, and so on. Okay, so it has created this report, and you don't need to worry about the the final result. Now here it has converted that into a nice report that from search engine this much of revenue came in, and for the lead recall, like the remarketing, this much revenue came in, and from newsletter this much, and Facebook this much. Okay, so okay, it has done this analysis here, as well as and as well as it created these files that you can reuse by campaign, by medium, by source, and that's about it. All right, and you can convert, if you this task is very frequent for you, you can convert it into an app service, and you can keep on seeing this whenever needed, rather than preparing the report again and again. You can just reuse this report and just get the fresh data. Okay, so that's the demo of the product, quick demo of the product in real life. There are a few questions that I would still like to answer, and then we'll carry on with our discussion. These are very important questions, and I think everybody needs to know the question. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Bhattacharji, that regarding the data investigation analysis. And you can further ask it the results, and you can see all the steps that are involved in preparing the report. Now, Okay, so you can take a look at Turno, right, RK. If there is a question from RK is that is there document explaining how Turno works? So we'll like to sit across and give you more details. I'll anyway walk you through how Turno works. And basically, right, a question from NM is that if we upload the data, can Turno suggest what analysis can be done with this data and give the best option for our? Of course, you can just connect the data and say, go through this data and tell me what kind of analysis can be done on this data. It can done. You can just try test it with right away with your CSV file and attach it as a CSV file, and then you can give the results. Now, can it connect to Databricks Unity Catalog or Salesforce and generate AI insights from the data directly? Yes, that's exactly what it does, Jasjit. Right now, our clients are using it by connecting it to their Databricks Unity Catalog, and by connecting it to other systems such as their Postgres databases, such as their what do you call the Azure as databases hosted in Azure and so on. So it can be used in all kind of from all kinds of scenarios. A question from Rehan is that do you have any published work with respect to your platform or any high quality, high impact journals? Yeah, but all of that is in work in progress, but because we were we are not really focused on getting the research accolades. We are focused on getting the clients and solving the problem with the clients. So that's why our current work is mostly private. Okay, we have published something called SQL Shield that is being used by quite a few people. But now we have made most of our things to be private. We will be making it open very soon, probably next quarter. Okay. A question from Anam is that also if we need the new file after cleaning the data, can we get the new file? Yeah, yeah. Any format do you want? You want it, give it a Excel sheet, ask it to convert it into CSV. You have anything that is possible. Okay. How does the model learn about the context of each column in the database? So it goes through your database quickly, comes up with a hypothesis that represents your tables, does all sorts of machine learning on top of it, and comes up with a good knowledge graph on your data. That's what it does. Okay. So you don't need to connect to a particular knowledge database about the column or something, and it just builds the knowledge base by itself. Okay. Yeah. Let's say there are two columns which have the same name but different data. So what it does is it goes through both the data, comes up with better names, and renames the columns for its own perspective, right? So that it doesn't get confused in the future. So we provide it that ability to rename things without impacting your actual data source. So it will just rename it in the context so that it can distinguish the same column from the one column from the another. Okay. Question from RK is who are the competitor of Turno AI and what it is different from them? So most of our competitors are hosted services. One of the big difference that we have brought in is that you can install Turno in your local desktop as well as you can install it on your own cloud. That's a very big differentiation. And along with that, the thing that we bring to the table is automatic intelligence on your data. It kind of comes up with automatic knowledge base, comes up with better names of column, better names of tables, and so on. The question that Arbaz asked is a very important question, and that's what we answered the first when we were building Turno. We built the SQL Shield, and SQL Shield gives this ability to rename tables, rename columns without touching the actual data source. A question from Pierre is that can we use the can the use of Turno impact the performance of the ERP? Not really, not really. The kind of queries that it writes are actually like a senior DBA. So it kind of improves upon that. And also it avoids kind of the large scans on your data, and it basically it kind of minimizes the impact on your ERP. The way though the way people actually work on the ERP is that, like all of our customers, what they do is they have the ERP, but they have the data warehouse. So you basically make a copy of your ERP in your data warehouse and then use Turno to look at the data warehouse, not the actual ERP. Okay, just like any reporting tools classically used to disconnect the two so that the data scientists who are working on the data don't impact the production environment. In the same way, you have the secondary warehouse whereby you will basically let the data scientists to do the work. So you basically use that. Wonderful questions, wonderful questions. All right. Glad to have all of you there here. So now this is the question that multiple people have asked, how it is different from the LLMs, right? ChatGPT or Claude or any other thing, right? One of the biggest differences that most other systems, most other systems take your data, put it on their cloud, and do the rest of the process. In our case, you can install Turno on your local machine, on your local computer, right? And the data doesn't go to LLM. Instead, it codes, and once it only sends the headers of your data, the table schema and other things to the LLM, and not the actual data. And then it comes up with all this ideas on um, how to work with your data. So Turno works on your data locally. Okay. It's a conversational AI scientist, whereby AI data scientist, whereby it does things in a conversation. Basically it breaks down the work into chain of thought and actions, and then executes it in that virtual machine. That's basically just like a behavior of a data scientist, where they have their own notebook, they look at the data, they code it, they give the result, and so on and so forth. Right? Then it does the enterprise grade security. You can connect, you can basically create your own users, roles, permissions in Turno AI. Let's say you are an organization where you are selling, say, electronics items, or let's say you are a retailer, e-commerce retailer or commerce retailer, like for example, Walmart. Now, now all the product sales are stored in the same table. Okay, but what you want is that people who are from electronics department should not be accessing the data related to the related to other products. So you'll create these something called row filters, which basically restrict the user from accessing the other rows. And that kind of security can be implemented using Turno without changing your database. All of these new rules are at the Turno level, and it stops the user uh, from accessing the data that they are not allowed to. So that's an enterprise grade security, and this does not Turno does not use LLM for the security. Turno has its own kind of database virtualization layer we have created called SQL Shield, which is like a firewall for your database. And using that, it provides the enterprise grade security. The next is, if you basically have built great report or analysis, you can just save it as app service. You can just click on create app service for that, and then you can reuse that quickly. Now, Um, next is customize it. It is customizable for your organization. You can customize it for your organization, meaning that you can create the prompt expansions. We call them prompt expansions. If let's say you you want certain things very particularly in your, you can extend the prompts. Okay. Similarly, you can have the organizational prompt and so on. So you basically, if the Turno provides you all that customization, whereby you can customize each and every aspect of Turno. Okay. So this not none of this is provided by the existing LLM. Now, Turno is not an LLM. Okay, it's not the large language model. It uses foundational models such as GPT or any other LLM underneath. It does not use it does not have its own LLM. Okay, though it has its own machine learning models, it has all of that. It does the work of it. Kind of has its own sandbox. It has its own security layer, but it's not an LLM. Okay. Now, what are the use cases of Turno? Turno basically here I'm going to walk through the use cases. Before that, let me take one more question. Our question is, where can we find this video recording? Yeah, we'll be sending it to you. Don't worry. Okay. Like the feedback form that somebody would post from my team. You fill that feedback form and you will get the video recording. A question from Bhattacharya is that I want to ask you about the journey of finding Turno and what what from your experience instigated you to work on Turno. Okay. So yeah, good question. Good question. So I was actually last year, I was actually discussing with quite a few people, and most of them were struggling with the security layer when they were trying to use their system with an LLM. And that's when I said that we can probably build the security layer. So we started with the security layer, and then we realized that security layer only makes sense if we have the product ready for everyone, and then we build the product. So we built the security layer and then the product. Okay. A question from Nawaz is that can we see the Turner architecture? Let me see if I can show you. Okay. Probably we can have that discussion separately. You can reach out. We can have separate call because today I did not plan to go deep dive into the Turnos architecture. Okay. I mostly wanted to go through the the um, the use cases. Okay. So imagine this that XYZ company launches a new natural sweetener. Okay, so it's a very important thing in the product research as well as for the marketing teams of a FMCG company. Let's say this marketing team wants to launch a new sweetener, okay, or they're launching a new sweetener. So basically, in order to market their new sweetener, you need to come up with the marketing strategy. And for marketing strategy, you need to segment your consumers. So Turno segments the consumers into, say, three groups: health conscious, millennials, households with the diabetic members, and trend followers. And then based on based on the region, based on the region, based on the global consumers, you come up with the campaigns, personalized marketing campaigns on Instagram or TikTok in say North America and Europe, while in WeChat and WhatsApp in Asia and retail loyalty program in Latin America, based on your consumers from the past. Okay, so an organization can have their own data, or they can have the data from the data agency, such as what was the name of the agency of the data? I just forgot it. Slipped my mind. It's called Nielsen, for example. So let's say you got the data from the Nielsen about the consumer behavior from globally, and you also have the data about your own consumers globally. then what you do is you basically ask Turno to do the unsupervised segmentation. Unsupervised means that you don't tell it that divide it into this. Instead, you let it come up with its own suggestions. Okay, so Turno would segment your customers into various groups, and it'll come up with group names by itself. Okay, based on your data. And then you have basically let's say this is the kind of recommendation it has, and it has told you that what kind of marketing expense across various channels you should have in what proportion, and then you can plan out your marketing really well. This kind of analysis takes months for our traditional organization, but with Turno it may be done in a couple of minutes. Okay. And a question from RK, is there a user manual of Turno where we can download? We'll provide that download option. Okay, you can drop us an email. We'll just get in touch with you. A question from Bhattacharjee is that I work in fintech domain and I believe that Turno will give you an edge to people with basic data science knowledge to deep dive on data. Okay, let me read again. I work in fintech domain and I believe that Turno would give an edge to people with basic. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Uh, uh, The Turno would give an edge to people with basic data science knowledge to deep dive on data, specifically when we are not aware with vast database architect. That's exactly what it is for. That's right. And Turno will be helpful in explaining them alongside investigating the data as well. That's correct. Okay, that's correct. A question from mining expert is that the SQL database we have in our organization is not well structured. No primary key, no foreign key, works based on row ID. Can I use Turno in such case? Of course. So in our experience in past, none of the databases have primary key foreign keys. That's a surprising thing to most of you, but I know for sure that a large organization has data from various sources, various systems, various acquisitions of companies. Well, most of our customers have other companies who were acquired and so on. And you cannot keep the primary key or foreign keys in your production, in your data warehouse because of the constraints and, in case you have to make, temporal copies, as in the time-wise copy of the database, it should not become a constraint. Therefore, people avoid keeping foreign keys and primary keys and keeping all this perfect scenario in the data warehouse. Okay. And yes, Turno works well in those scenarios. Okay. And a question from Bhattacharjee is that would want to connect with you on LinkedIn, hope to engage and remains updated. Sure, please feel free to connect. All right. Now, now let's take another example. Let's say there is a company called Pure Life Products. It's a global healthy food brand. Pure Life produces protein drink mix that sees seasonal surges in Europe, okay, during January as customer adopts fitness solution. Now, Turno, let's say you can ask Turno to detect the anomaly and the pattern in your data or in your consumer base or new signups, right? And Turno can detect these patterns early on. Like, for example, in this case, Turno detects this pattern early based on the forecast. Pure Life adjusts its distribution network, right? Like, and what it did was what recommendation it gave was that in Europe, in the European market, the the seasonal surges would be there, and like in Europe, during January there will be a lot of surges, and Southeast Asia will see a less demand. I mean, their demand will remain normal. So what they did was what an organization can do with this information is that they can increase their containers and trucks on the route to European market. Now, give this would give a reduction of around 8% in their storage cost and better availability. Now, right? So basically, this is the kind of visualization it can generate for the same data. Now, now there is I've actually just changed the names of the company that we have used it in past. Therefore, I've just come up with these fake name for the company called Cocoa Delight. Okay, it's a let's say this is a multinational chocolate producer, right? Having factories in Brazil and Germany and USA. They use a lot of IoT sensors and so on. Now, Turno is observing that there is a Brazilian plant, it's consuming 15% more cocoa per batch. Okay, that essentially this is unsupervised analysis where you can just say that can you observe the production the cocoa consumption or can you look at the data that is coming from our plants and observe is there anomaly. So based on anomaly, it figures out that there is one particular plant that is consuming more cocoa uh, above normal than every other. Now, basically, basically with this tiny information, the annual cost saving for the organization was around 2 million because they figured out that there was a calibration issue with one machine. Okay. Now, the cocoa use case per batch and so on, it's the same thing in visualization. Now, here's another one. So basically, let's say BioCare International is launching innovative wellness products, right? And global trend analysis by Turno identifies a rising interest in gut health and probiotics, right? And and basically they figure out based on the data that the Turno figures out based on the data that there is only 80% acceptance rate in Japan and South Korea, only 35% acceptance rate in North America. So based on this data, they can essentially relaunch their product. Okay. Now, similarly for another company, which is let's say Green Life Corp, which integrates the fitness app and so on. Now, let me walk you through a brief examples. Okay, so you can take a look at. We'll be sharing with you this case study in later, right? Now, the first case study is that this is the one that I showed you. That given the many marketing teams invest heavily across multiple channels such as ads, email, and so on. And yeah, so let me just show you this analysis that was done. So here, uh, analyze Odoo leads and revenue by campaign and give me the results, right? So it has done the analysis, and in the end, you have everything in details. Okay, so here let's read through this problem again. Analyze the leads and revenue by campaign, source, and medium to understand which channel truly drive conversions and ROI, and then plot their findings and recommend where we should increase or cut marketing spend. Provide proper facts and numbers. Now, the result we got is this. Okay. All right. So you can basically use this. You can do this kind of analysis spontaneously. You can just connect your data source or attach a CSV file or attach an Excel sheet and ask it to do the work. The other thing that I want to show you is this important aspect. So there is something called these environment variables. Say you want to connect to your Google Sheets, right? You can provide the Google Sheets API and then it'll do the job. Okay. So if you ask it normally, it'll say that, can you put this particular key? And it'll guide you how to put that key. And then you can just put that key and basically it can talk directly to your Google Docs or any service for that matter. Like some people use it for even Twitter, connecting it to Twitter and connecting it to their data. So it does that. Okay. Now, case study two is customer segmentation. Many businesses treat all customers the same, right? And I'll go ahead with this. So, right? So it's important to do the customer segmentation. And here in this particular plan, I'll just show you. Okay. So based on the order frequency and other details like cost, repeated order, gap between orders, medium, etc. in this particular database, please do a user segmentation and provide suggestions and good name for each segment. Use any ML model, any machine learning model to do so. Okay. Plot the segment details and suggest specific to each segment. So you see that we have, let's say, lot of details about the order of our customers, like whatever they've ordered. Now, what we want to do is do the segmentation. Okay. Do the segmentation. Now it is doing the segmentation. It is showing you the entire thought process. And it comes up with this one idea. It says that there are customers named champions. It has given the names called champion. These are the customers which have the higher frequency, higher spend, and shortest gaps. Okay. And what the suggestion is to give them VIP loyal benefits and exclusive previews, referred incentives. Then there is a loyal regulars. Okay. The loyal regulars are basically having high frequency, high spend, short gaps via website, and so on. Right. So it has given the characteristics and how it has figured out. So it has done something called a machine learning unsupervised model. So it went through, it segmented the customers into two groups, then three groups, then four groups, like that, and figured out that six segments make a lot of sense. Okay, six segments make a lot of sense. All right. And in this, essentially here, so these are the various six segments. And for each of them, it has also suggested various suggestions. For example, there is a cluster four, which is at risk. Okay. So for this cluster four, you have to give win back options, right? Win back campaigns. You have to come up with win back campaigns so that because they are at risk. So when you launch the campaign, the ideas and marketing, you just send it to this particular set of users. Okay. You can also ask it to just create the CSV file containing the groups. Let's just take a look. So, okay, so it has created this one. Further, you can just tell it that can you create a new CSV file containing like marking each group in the row. It will give you that. Okay, and yeah, this is only the segment summary. So further, if you want to send the campaigns and everything, it'll basically give the segment number to each, and then you can basically do your email campaign or whatever campaign do you want. So this is the another example of another example of the customer another example of Turno, where Turno has been really used for work. Please note that this customer segmentation has been done by a real company, an e-commerce company using Turno. This example is not based on their data. This example is based on uh, Odoo data and the data from Odoo, because that data is public and open. So, but the actual work, we are not sharing the actual work that the customer have done here. And essentially, if you find this data to be artificial, there is a good reason to it, because we can't share our customers' data here. The customer churn, right? Basically, if you are trying, let's say, many businesses lose revenue when previous year customers churn. So here, basically, in this particular case study, The idea is to extract customer and order data, compute RFM metrics, recency, frequency, and monetary, and identify at-risk customers and visualize insights. Okay, so here to do the customer channel analysis, here, this is what we asked for. We asked for that identify which customers are at risk of leaving us based on their purchase history and activity in Odoo, plot the findings and suggest methods to retain those customer in details. Now, this is what it has done. Okay. So it has come up with all its strategies about the data. And finally, it has plotted it here. Okay. So these are the customers, you know, and so on. So there is something called R score. This R score means that there is a high chance of leaving, and the R score low is sorry. Okay, I do not know what is R score. It has come up with metrics called RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary. Okay, so R score is higher score means they are not going to leave, something like that. Okay, so it's suggesting that do the automatic drip campaign if they do not respond to the first email like that. So, right, to retain these at-risk customers, okay, at-risk customer. Oh, these are the at-risk customers. Sorry. So R score one are the one that are basically right. These are this the customer. The R score is one for all of them, actually. Yeah. This is R score two, R score two, R score two, and this is R score four. Okay. Yeah. So the ones that are here, this is definitely you should take a look at it immediately. This is also take a look at it immediately. So what it is suggesting that send tailored content based on their past purchases, provide time limited discounts, and ask for inputs on obstacles, right? And then introduce points, tiered rewards, and so on. Use collaborative filtering or past purchase patterns. So this is another recommendation for building a recommendation engine. And invite them to VIP sales and new product launches and so on. If they don't respond to the first email, trigger a sequence of reminder or varied offers to capture their attention. So yes, so this is another example of analysis. Again, this is on open data. Okay. Similarly, sales forecasting. This sales forecasting has been done for our customers, but we have redone the same thing using openly available data. Okay. So it has done the sales forecasting. Okay. Now moving ahead. All right. So that's pretty much with respect to the use cases. Okay. So feel free to fill in this form, a survey. I would love to, reach out to you guys as well as we'll send you the presentation as well as the recording. Okay. Um, a question from Anumi, is there any way to connect with you for other colleagues? Yes, I would love to. Okay. Just, right. Just send an email to us. I'll share with you my calendar invite, and then you can basically, reach out to me. All right. So, okay, just drop me an email at this, and my team will reach out to us as well as send you my calendar link in case you want to have a meeting one-on-one with me. Just drop an email saying that, hey, I would love to have the one-on-one meeting with uh, people, right? As of now, Turno is free to use. You can sign up and start using, as well as right. You can test it out. There is a $10 cap per day usage. You can try next day, or you can just ping us. We will increase that free usage. Okay. Okay. All right. So my yeah. Please drop us an email. I think my team will send you the calendar link, and then right, we'll would love to have one-on-one with you. Okay. So now let me read through some of the questions that you have posted because most of the questions are very insightful. I think those are useful for everybody else as well. Is there any way? Okay, this I have answered. Uh, yeah. All right. Yes, my team, please take a note. Yeah. So as per him, right, nobody has replied to the queries. I'll take a look. All right. Thank you, Anum, for bringing that. Okay. A question from Anum is, can we have these worksheets to practice or to see how you are giving prompts? Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. A question from Anum is, are these images editable? For example, if we do click, you can basically ask it to, it gives you the code to generate these images. Okay. And you can basically also ask it to replot them. Okay. A question from Nawaz is that I want to see these use cases in action. Do I need to recreate the use cases, or are these pre-cases preloaded? So we have actually just put the, lots of prompt examples in when you sign up by default. If you come to Turno, let's say here, you will see if you say new chat, right? Here, you will see these examples. You can just scroll through. These are some of the use cases of Odoo database is the bottom, and then they are from SQLite and so on. So from different data for different databases, my team has prepared these simple queries that you can try. Okay. Now, all right. Okay. I want to see these. Okay. Yeah, I've answered that question. Is turnover free that I have answered? I want to have one-on-one that I have answered. And what are long-term goal for Turno and which market are you exploring? Asking for business perspective. So we are open to like right now we are targeting the companies which have you know a little bigger companies which have the databases, because individuals are basically not our target. Our target is mostly the companies, the large organizations, as well as the data scientists working in these large organizations who have data, so that basically they can, you know, improve their own performance of getting it done, their own effectiveness. So those are our target right now. Okay. All right. And yes, we are doing the analytics of Turno in Turno, like observing what is the user flow and everything using the Turno itself, connecting all the data sources from Facebook ads, Google Analytics, the content analytics, everything is done using Turno itself. All right, somebody has raised the hand. Yes, go ahead, Satish.
Hi, Sandeep. I'm audible.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, this is very insightful. Uh, from my background, I'm from the ERP systems, and the data warehousing and the business intelligence for big companies. So I have a few questions regarding that. So
Okay, go
in
ahead.
those days, we used to develop everything from ground up.
Yeah,
The schemas, data analysis, then we do the ETL
yeah,
and the front-end reporting.
yeah,
Okay, so I see a few challenges in that regard. One is when we look at the star schema, basically the fact table and the dimensions,
yeah,
the data can be huge in a data
yeah,
warehousing scenario. I used to work for a big telecom company in North America, one of the biggest. So we had database going up to terabytes, uh,
yeah,
multiple terabytes. Uh, so you said that it does some kind of a data sampling to
Yeah.
redirect the context of
Yeah.
the tables. Uh, so, so apparently it's using the metadata, and sometimes, as you know, the tables are not named. It's very cryptic. Uh,
Hmm.
so, to what extent it does the data sampling to get the depth of the context? Because if you're looking at terabytes, like I said, millions of rows of data,
Yeah.
that's
Yep. Yep.
one. And the
Yeah.
accuracy of the analysis, the inference that this model, this tool has derived,
Yeah.
that's one. Maybe I'll let you answer that and then go to the next step. Or do you want me to say everything in the beginning? It's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you answer this and then I'll go to the next
Okay. So yeah. So so we do a little smarter sampling because it's not only the rows, it also the columns, right? So one is we do a diverse sampling in the from the table. Okay, say for example, we take rows, 10 rows, but if there are like 100 columns, we do the splitting of the columns in multiple parts and then do the analysis in the multiple parts separately.
one. Okay. And the second thing is, you know about the slowly changing dimensions. The data changes. And sometimes after a certain time, the relationship between the tables can change.
Yeah.
Uh, like from a regular customer, that person could have gone to a premium and with some extra benefits, right? So it would have more data thing. So you have a cutoff point and the thing that the data is evolving. So do we have to run this again to
No,
resample?
no. So basically, yes, sometimes you introduce new columns and other things, right? Okay. So yeah, so the
Yeah, the
schema
customer data
refresh,
itself could change. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so schema refresh is an option that you can rerun, okay, and it'll rebuild upon the existing one rather than just changing everything from bottom up. Yeah. So because
Okay,
let's say, yeah, go ahead.
so it will detect that there is changes in the pattern in
No,
of the customer.
right now, most of it is like manual. The recreating of the metadata is right now manual. We are not triggering it automatically, but the process is automated.
The other thing is the when you said it can be installed in a desktop. Now, from my kind of limited knowledge of how AI systems work, so you're having an MCP server which determines which LLM to invoke.
Yeah,
I presume that's how it works. And
yeah,
then when you get back this analysis, there will be some sort of vectoring data that needs to be stored somewhere, especially when you're going against terabytes worth of data. So would that storage be locally? Do we have, how much resources do we need to run this in terms of GPU power? What is the database that you use? And
yeah, yeah,
just a little bit of the, I know it's related to architecture, but
yeah,
if
yeah.
you want to touch on that or,
Yeah, yeah, I'll like to answer that. So when we say you will have the Turno desktop, right? So Turno desktop would not have the local LLM, right? So you don't need a GPU locally. All you need is, OK's compute resources so that you can, in case, let's say you go for a very aggressive machine learning task, right? And what we observed is even in the organizations, right? Even when the data is pretty big, most of the machine learning models locally can be built. The foundation model, I'm not talking about the large language models. Those models can be built easily without having to worry about um, GPUs. Okay, so yeah, so even with the local simple computer like a laptop, a lot of processing can be done easily. Yeah, and it doesn't really download the entire data from your database to your desktop. It will only download what is needed for your query. Yeah. And in case you need more power, what you can do is you can shift entire workload onto hosted your private cloud, and there you can move everything.
Okay, so it maintains its own internal database to store this
Yeah,
metadata.
yeah. And then
So
in
on a
case you go
regular
for Turbo desktop,
desktop
that
with
will
maybe, sorry, 12 GB, you could run with maybe uh, uh, something like that. It's a regular
yeah,
desktop that you can.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, more than enough. Right now, most of the analysis on our server is being done in within 1 GB of data, 1 GB of memory. And the way Turno uses that sandbox, right? It basically what it does is it runs the code. In case the code fails, okay, and it gets the signal that it's using too much memory. So it comes up with a new query which is optimum for your memory size. Okay. So it basically will try to, let's say, it's training a machine learning model and there are too many records. It has picked up in a single batch. And when it is doing the training, that thing is overflowing the memory and is crashing. So the next query it will create is come up with a smaller, you know, batch size. So it'll do the optimization so that it can run in whatever machine size you have locally.
And the final question I have is you explained about the RAG feature. So do we have to do something like line change sort of coding? And how do I
No, you
set my
don't.
parameters? For example, like temperature and guardrails and things like that. Is there some tweaking that you can
Uh,
do?
y- Basically, you have the settings internal where you can just mark those parts. So we don't provide the RAG directly. You can connect the MCP server. There, those might be having the RAG. So basically, right, that the RAG server is still a very okay. So you can see that in the LLM config right now we have this thing. Okay. So you can just change that. Okay. So you can just change the temperature and other settings.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at this, and if I have any questions, I will definitely contact. Thank you.
Wonderful
Well,
question. Good question. Thank you, Satish. Yeah, thank you. All right. Great. All right. Thank you, everyone. Any other questions? You can raise your hand. And let me see if there are anything on the chat. Perfect. Great. Wonderful set of questions. And thank you so much for giving 1.5 hours of your time. And I look forward to have more interaction with all of you. Feel free to reach out. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.